Hey everyone, it's Mobius here once again with another tank talk, and as you can tell, I'm covering the Tier 10 Japanese medium tank, the STB-1. Now, don't tell my E50M this, but I think this tank has replaced my new favorite tank in this game. This tank is such a bloody beast of a tank. Right now it actually has my best statistics out of the Tier 10 mediums, so I don't know if that means much to any of you guys, but it's quite impressive. So I'm going to start off with a solo game here on Westfield. Kind of an average game. My worst game so far on Westfield, easily. This is the only game in the few times that I've played Westfield with the STB-1 where I had less than 4,000 damage. That's how much you can make a map like this your bitch with this tank, because it's so good for it. So, not a heck of a lot's going to happen in the opening sequences here. So I'm just going to discuss a few things about the STB-1, some hard stats and soft stats. So, STB-1, what's good about it? Gun depression, 10 degrees of gun depression, better than the M48 pattern, on par with the FV4202, also better than the Leopard 1. So that's one of the good things about it. Secondly, mobility. It's got a pretty dang good power to rate ratio at a little over 20 horsepower per ton, and a decent top speed of 50, 55-ish, somewhere around there. Took a bad hit there. I was going too slow. This game, unfortunately, I was also lagging a little bit, so some of my shots were delayed. It was pretty annoying, but I was still able to put out my damage and be a contributing member of my team here. Unfortunately, it was just a little bit laggy for me in the top left. You can see I had 4 bars for the majority of it. So, gun depression, mobility, the turret armor, it doesn't sound like it's very much. It's, I believe, about 135 millimeters, but it's sloped so well that it can cause bounces like that one that just happened on the E50M. So essentially, hull down is your best friend with this tank, especially if you're above enemy tanks. Pretty much the only weak point on the turret from the front is that commander's hatch, and when you are above enemy tanks and maximizing your gun depression as best as you can, the hatch is almost completely covered up by the front face of your turret, and they can't even enemies can't even really shoot it very well anyways. So you can really just dish out some constant, reliable, semi-accurate damage. Now, there's a lot of good things about this tank. There's also some negative things. To offset the wicked rate of fire that this thing's 105mm gun has, the accuracy on the move is quite atrocious. The gun dispersion values increase exponentially while the tank is moving or while the turret is rotating. It's just god-awful. Couple that with really poor terrain resistances. If you notice at the very beginning of this game, I'm trying to just move up the ridge there, and this tank can hill climb fairly well. It won't go as fast as, say, an FV4202, but pretty close. However, on the gentle slopes here on Westfield, because of the Westfield rain and the terrain is a little worse for the wear, I was barely clocking in at about 23 kilometers an hour, just going up these gentle slopes to get into my position here. So the terrain resistance is also really bad, along with the on-the-move accuracy when either moving the turret or moving the tank itself. Trying to take shots at this Tiger II here to get him out of my face. Missed the commander's hatch. That's another thing that seems to happen with the gun, is the shots tend to go low a lot. It's a little irritating, but you can somewhat compensate for it if possible. Still trying to line up the Tiger II here. So, just trying to take pot shots because he looks like he just kind of wants to YOLO me. Now, something weird happened right there with the video. I don't know what happened with the capturing here, so all the sound just cut out, and I didn't really notice that when I was initially rendering this, so I do apologize, but the rest of this game has no sound, unfortunately. Thankfully, artillery knocks out that Tiger II for me. So, like I said, bad things, on-the-move accuracy, terrain resistances really kill the mobility of this tank. It doesn't take off with its great acceleration like an FV4202 or T62A, even though it has a really good power to weight ratio. Doesn't quite have the similar top speed as a Leopard 1, but it will boot around at 50-55 kilometers per hour in decent or favorable conditions, which is what you really need. So, a couple of the positives about this tank. It is quite small, so it's got a really good camo rating. one of the best out of the Tier 10 mediums right now. I believe only the Leopard 1 and the Bat Chat have slightly better camera ratings, and even then not by much. And another thing too is the view range is by default 410 meters. So slap on a coated optics and you're looking at 451 meter view range, which is really good and essential in a Tier 10 medium. So it's really nice to put those things together. Now the fully aimed in accuracy of the gun is .36. So basically the same as the M48 patent. It's not horrible. It's definitely workable, but sometimes you can miss those long-range shots. As, like I said, the shots do also tend to go a little bit low in the reticule. I don't know why that is. Just something I've noticed over the 150 games that I've played this tank. So I wasn't doing much at all in that position where I was. I got maybe 3 penetrating shots from that position, so it's time for me to move and take this big hill. This big hill on Westfield is where an STB-1 really wants to be. This is where you can really dish out some damage, especially from the north spawn. And that's how I've had such great games on this map with this tank. Trying to take shots at this Centurion, missed both shots. Wasn't really doing a heck of a lot there. I noticed that some things were pushing through the valley there as well. Centurion finally gets taken out, so I'm trying to just use this hill as best as I can, maintain more of my HP pool as possible, because I took a really, really sloppy hit very early from that E50M there. I bounced this IS-3, probably hit him in the side of the turret. I'm not too sure. Doesn't really matter. Shot didn't pen. That was kind of annoying. So the skill cannon in the back here takes somebody out just as he's getting spotted. So as you can see, now that I was able to actually use some downhill, I'm able to get booting up there to 50 kilometers an hour in this tank. This tank can motor when you need it to. So at this stage, the E100 is sitting in our base, and I'm trying to get back there and help defend it. And the 48 patent is trying to get some damage on this E100 and slow down the cap timer so that the rest of us have enough time to come back and finish him off. Kind of hoping that the 48 patent would survive his encounter here, but he gets taken out by the E100. The E100's, not a complete idiot here, so 48 patent unfortunately gets taken out. He sees me coming. I took an on-the-move shot. You can see right there, the reticule is huge. I'm going so fast, the turret is turning. It's just awful. So I try to circle this E100, but this is just embarrassing because I will get no damage done to this E100. Try going for a track shot there. I guess the lag figured that I wasn't even aiming at him. Reticule wasn't fully filling him up there, so enjoy watching me bounce every shot on this E100. Now, a situation like this, though, could be a heavy tank's or even a TD's worst nightmare, an STB-1 circling them. You can see the reload speed on this 105mm gun. 6.46 seconds. That is ridiculous. With vents on this tank, I was able to put the reload speed all the way down to 6.33 seconds. That is a full second or 0.8 seconds faster than the M48 patent or the Leopard 1 even, and both those tanks also sport 105mm guns. So out of all the Tier 10 mediums mounting a 105mm gun, so not counting the T-62A, the Russian medium, the STB-1 has the best DPM out of all of them, and it can really get you out of some sticky situations. I've had numerous times where, say, a Yagaru will just YOLO-tard on me and rushes over, and it's near the end of the game, so I just take the hit from them, lose about half my hit points, but I shoot so fast that I get 4 shots into them by the time that they're about ready to reload for another shot, and by that point they're dead, so it doesn't even matter. That's one of the major strengths of this tank, and that's how you can have such really good games if you play it to its strengths. Play hull down, stay a fair distance. You still want to be close, but not too close. Roughly between about 50, 75 to 200 meters at the absolute tops. It's not 100% of a frontline tank, but you do want to be fairly close in there so that the accuracy of the gun doesn't just troll you indefinitely there. So we finally spot the Yagaru. He looks like he's stuck, so I'm just putting some easy shots into his side here. Free damage, ammo racked him, and the final shot here finishes him off before we cap out. So that circle there on the E100, absolutely embarrassing. I was pretty upset with that one. I couldn't believe that. I chinched myself out of a possible 600, 800 damage there, potentially. But still an okay game. 2100 damage, 222 per assisted damage. Not a great game, but I was still able to contribute somewhat there. So we're going to go back to the garage. I'm going to open up the STB-1 hard stats here for you. Let's take a quick look at them. So here in the garage, jump into the STB-1, and we'll take a look at its quote-unquote package here to take a look at some of the hard stats. So opening it up, you can see engine power, 750 horsepower. Good power to weight ratio, like I said. Now the 105mm gun on this thing, 7.5 rounds per minute. That's ridiculous. Penetration 258, lowest out of the tier 10 mediums. But the alpha damage is 390 like the other 105mm guns. High explosive ammo, 53 pen, 480 damage. And the heat premium ammo has 330 pen. On par or better than most tier 10 TDs standard ammo. Aiming time, 2.29. Quite low like a lot of high tier TDs. But the accuracy is 0.36. Now, two other good things about the STB-1, traverse speeds. 52 degrees with the hull, 42 degrees per second with the turret. Those are pretty good traverse speeds. And like I said, view range 410. And you can see there, turret armor, 132 millimeters, but it's sloped so well, it's so squat that you can bounce a lot of shots off of it. But I highly recommend you don't rely on it. You still want to play like a smart medium where you're peeking over and taking pot shots during enemies' reloads or when they're not looking at you. You can't count on the turret armor because sometimes people will just load high explosive or premium shots and shoot you right through your gun mantlet, which is actually comparatively weak to the rest of the turret. So we're going to take a look at some of the crew skills I have here. Like I said, this was my original Chinukai trainer crew, so I have Mentor and Brothers in Arms. I strongly recommend repairs, sixth sense, and clutch braking, though, as I do for any high-tier medium crew, and also camouflage to make use of the camo rating. I'm currently training Smooth Ride to try and help with the on-the-move accuracy of this tank, and I'll also do Snapshot right afterwards. So I recommend those couple skills to start off with. So for consumables, I suggest a large repair kit and large first aid kit to repair your damaged modules, but also Onigiri to really amp up that reload speed. That helps you dump out some major DPM with this tank, so it's pretty handy to have that on. So for equipment here, usual medium setup, coated optics, medium caliber tank gun rammer, and the crucial one is this vertical stabilizer here. Very important to reduce the crappy on the move accuracy of the gun there. So that's my current setup with the STB-1. I do recommend you look at that there. So we're going to take a look at the armor or module components and whatnot. So from the very front, you can see the turret of the STB-1. Like I said, commander's hatch is pretty much the only real glaring weak point. And the hull, the left side of the hull is where your driver gets knocked out. Lower plate on the right side will ammo rack you. So that's why it's important to be as hull down as much as possible with this tank. Because even from the front, there are vulnerable portions where your crew can get knocked out, you can get ammo racked, and that'll just really screw you over. Another view from the front here, you can see the loader is on the left side of the turret near the back, and I believe that was the gunner on the right side near the front of the turret. Those can get knocked out pretty easily, especially if somebody is derping with high explosives at you. Part of the reason I strongly recommend a large first aid kit, because these guys do get knocked out, especially the gunner and the commander. They do get knocked out quite frequently in this tank. So from the left side, near the back of the turret is another piece of ammo rack there, and near the back of the tank is where the fuel tank sits on the sides right above the treads, and the actual back piece of the fuselage behind the tracks there is where your engine is. So if those get knocked out, you could be in serious trouble, especially if your engine or ammo rack gets hit there. So like I said, hull down, keep your turret towards the enemy. From the very back in the center of the hull, that's where your engine deck is. And the very back of the turret, like I said, that's where your ammo rack is. It's important to try and keep those protected as much as possible. It's quite easy to knock them out because this tank has very poor side and rear armor on the hull. And those can get damaged very easily or even destroyed, just take you out of the game. So on the right side, you can see here the commander basically covers that entire right side of the rear of the turret, as well as the hatch. He can get knocked out pretty easily. Also a fuel tank on the right side of the rear of the fuselage, just above the tracks. That can catch fire fairly easily, especially because of its thin armor. And your engine deck is right smack dab in the middle of the rear there. So from the right side, the gunner does position near the front of the turret. He gets knocked out quite frequently. Large repair kit should help with that a little bit. And the commander's also on that side. Both can get taken out in one shot from a powerful hit. in the side of the turret there, especially with high explosive. Really, really important to keep those guys in the game to help you dishing out as much damage as possible with this tank. So with that, we're going to jump into some more games here. The rest of the games here are I am platooned up with some friends. This game is on Merovanka. I can't remember 100% who's in my platoon. This game goes a little bit better, and there's a buddy of mine on the other team. As a matter of fact, you'll see me send a taunting message a little later on when he gets taken out. So, like I said, I mentioned the hull armor on the STB-1. The sides is 35 millimeters, which means that anything mounting a 120 millimeter gun or bigger, which is essentially every heavy tank or tank destroyer that you will come across, they will overmatch your side armor. So don't even bother trying to side scrape in this thing. It's just not worth it. You will get absolutely wrecked trying to do that. Now the upper front plate itself is similar to the turret armor, about 132, 135 millimeters, and it's sloped fairly well. But even then, its maximum effective armor isn't that great. You can cause some troll bounces at a sharp angle, but as always, do not rely on the armor of this tank. It is not at all like an E50M, not even close. So, as always, you just want to play smart. The best way to avoid taking a hit in a medium tank is just to not get hit when somebody shoots at you. Simple as that. So I just merely peeked over, spotted a few targets to let us know what's coming up in front of us. I've got Icev right behind me in his Leopard 1, and my other two platoon mates in their Heavy and TD right behind us. You see Fives playing really aggressive on our right flank here, but my platoon mate in the TD whacks him. Icev's able to get another hit off on him. The C5's already half dead, and he just says, fuck it, and goes all the way in. Bounce off his lower plate. Not a very good shot. Icev gets another hit on him. This guy's just got a hard on for Icev right now. He wants him gone. A bit of a lag shot it looked like there. I only hit him in the tracks. Again, the accuracy kind of letting me down on this tank. And that E3 directly above us just bounces a lot of shots. So trying to get artillery's attention to just start shooting at this E3. He hits him with a fairly decent splash hit for 316 right there, allowing Icev to get a nice side shot in him. So at this point I'm just positioning, going to be trying to peek over and spot some targets, requesting fire for artillery to hit this E3. So me and Icev are just going to be peeking over. He's going to take pot shots at him to keep him tracked and damaged for artillery to splash him again. Meanwhile, we're just trying to position so that we can get the finishing shot on the E3. Unfortunately, he's able to back down for us. So we're hoping that the other side of the map here in the Magical Forest is going well. I'm just trying to pull forward, get some more spots. 704 in the back looks like he's staring right at me. There's also a Death Star somewhere over there with a Waffle Dragon. So I know I can't get too cocky with peeking over there. Just noticed an artillery shot flying over towards the forest, so I know I don't have to worry about that. Got a little lazy here shooting at this Waffle. I'm amazed I didn't get blasted, but I was able to get a free hit in out of there. Thank goodness for that. There's a lot of nasty TDs over there looking at me. And I definitely don't want that Death Star shooting at me. Because this tank has really thin hull armor pretty much all around, Death Stars will absolutely wreck this poor tank. It's really unfortunate. It's pretty much like that for all of the high-tier mediums down the Japanese line. So there's not a heck of a lot that's going to go on here for a bit. I'm just going to mention something about the Japanese line. So when grinding to the STB-1, I've been talking to a lot of people. Most of those people who did the low tiers as well agree that in the lower tiers, the light tanks, it's easier to be successful and do well with the light tanks in the lower tiers than the medium tanks, up until they meet up at about tier 5, I believe it is, where the lines converge, and then it's all mediums down one line from that point on. And then in the higher tiers, I've heard nothing but good things about the tiers 7, 8, and 9, starting with the Chi-Ri, the STA-1, and then the Type 61 just before the STB-1. I've heard nothing but good things about them. The tier 7 Chi-Ri is supposed to be extremely fun. I'm considering of adding that tank to my garage for another tier 7 medium tank. We'll see how it goes. I noticed Gouda was dead here, so I'm just going to send him a taunting message. If it means anything, we kind of had a running thing going where whenever I'd see him, I'd try to find him and I'd just YOLO rush him and end up ramming him and try to shoot him until he's dead at the cost of my own tank. So, ignore that there. So, like I said, Chi-Ri is a really fun tank from what I hear, and both the STA-1 and the Type 61 Tier 8 and Tier 9 medium tanks respectively are both absolute beasts of tanks, even when they're not quite fully upgraded. The stock grinds, as usual, can be a bit of a pain in the ass, but especially once fully upgraded, those tanks can be absolute beasts. Naturally, all of them have pretty much origami paper for armor, so you can't rely on that at all going down these lines. The line will really teach you to play like a really smart medium where you do not poke out with the expectation of bouncing shots or relying on any kind of armor to bounce shots or what have you. You poke up and you take your shot and you retreat before anybody can retaliate. Not like I just did there. That was me being lazy, spotting the 103 there. At this point I realized that the Waffle's actually reloading, so we need to knock him out. Me and Ice7 are both poking over to take him out here. I've still got a lot of hit points, so this final shot here on the Waffle, I will take a hit for it, but it's more than worth it knocking out that Waffle there because I still have a little over half my hit points. So long as I don't get whacked by that Death Star, I can easily survive to the end to see this game through. So M103 starts trying to run, put a side shot in his turret, and then he gets taken out by a Looney Tune in his E4. So one less tank to deal with, and it looks like we're getting a little bit closed in by the E4 on the right side of this little crest. So I sneak around, come around behind Roll Mario here. I see Mario and Ice7 are both down to one shot, and Looney Tune is pretty close to it as well. So sneaking around on the side here, putting the STB-1's mobility to good use. Going to try and peek over and put the gun depression to good use. Get an ass shot here on this E3. Aiming in. Get one more hit on him before he finally gets taken out. So I see the 1A3's looking at me as well. And artillery's looking more or less in our direction as well. So this is when I've decided it's time to pull back, pull an extreme flank, and come up on the side of that artillery and take him out of the game before he causes some serious havoc on the remnants of our team here. So you can see I'm trying to play the STB-1 to the best of its strengths, using its mobility as well as its really good gun depression as best as I can here. Not really much opportunity to put the DPM to work. Like I said, maps like Westfield, though, where you're kind of just in the background of the fight on the big cresting hill in the center of Westfield, though, you can really put the DPM to use. Every 6 seconds you peek out, take another shot in somebody's side, because somebody's not going to be looking at you. So high explosive shell loaded right in the side turret of the artillery, and he's gone. E4 whacks me good. I'm so lucky he didn't high roll me. So I see the Death Star is side on to me and one shot, so I take him out of the game. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to save Looney Tune before he got taken out, so I have side shots in the E4 as well. Get one more side shot into him for some more damage. And just as this M103 pulls up, I hold my fire so that I don't hit the M103. One more shot into the E4 to guarantee that he gets taken out next hit. So, decent game there. Took one unnecessary hit from that M103 really early on. The first hit that I took, very unnecessary. I'm just super lucky that E4 didn't high roll me and actually kill me with that final hit. So 813 assisted damage, 2723 damage dealt with 3 tanks knocked out. Not bad. And I was trying to get my buddy Gouda to join my game there, as we hadn't played in a while there, unfortunately. So decent game there. Jumping onto Malinovka. Encounter battle. Now the encounter flag on Malinovka is now in the A0 sector where that windmill is, so it's a real popular contesting point on this map anyways, so not a bad idea for putting the flag up there. I actually like Malinovka now, fighting up in the northeast corner there in A0, the A0B1 area. Now that it has 2 different levels of elevation, you can really put a medium tank to good work up there, getting some cheeky shots in the sides of tanks when they're not looking, so on and so forth. So I figured rather than charge towards their spawn where about half their guns are going to be looking at me, you know, we're trying to figure out where we're going. Elite Master starts going down the field. He's going to detect a bunch of bad stuff coming for him. We got a scout tank heading straight for us, and I just said, screw that, I'm not going over there as well. So after finally deciding on it, figuring out where I wanted to go, I decided I'm going to put my gun depression to good use at the top of that hill and go for the fight on the hill there, as I'm not too sure what to expect when they go up there. but I'll see what I can do here. And at the very least, I can delay the cap timer until I get some reinforcements. So I'm in a full platoon here. You got denied in his 183, Elite Master in his Bat Chat, GFW Fearless in an E5, and I can't remember who the fourth one is that I have with me here right now, but it'll pop up next time I open the map in 10 seconds. Oh, Lele in his AMX 50B. Just about all of them members of Total Carnage with me, so with all that dicking around, the other team gets to the flag first. One of them's already on the cap. I figure it has to be one of their medium tanks. Nothing else, or with their scout here. As you can see, it's that T-71. Looks like the T-71 is outside of the flag still, though, so I know that there's probably another tank accompanying that T-71. And the T-71 missed his shot on me, so just coming up here, going to try and reset the cap timer here so that my teammates and my platoon mates have more than enough time to catch up with me and give me a helping hand up here. So finally spot the T-71 again, put a nice shot into his front. His panic shot bounced off my turret, and that's one of the really nice things about the troll armor of the turret on this tank. Now, amazingly, I hit that shot there, even though more than half of the bottom of the reticule was aiming at dirt, so I couldn't believe that. This is when Elite Master detects the enemy M48 Patton behind me, so I turn back around. It's time to reprioritize, because that Patton can spot everything coming up to help me out and reinforce this position, so he's got to go. Elite Master goes in to start clipping him, so I come up behind to put some more shots in him. One shot into his butt. He's already half dead. Elite Master's just going to dump his whole clip on him, so I put another shot into his back, trying to knock out his engine. But he's almost able to get away. I reload just in time, and right as I fire a T-28 Proto takes him out. Typical. Now, one thing I didn't mention about the cons of this tank is, while it has really good gun depression, it has pretty crappy gun elevation. That's pointing upwards. I think it can only point upwards maybe 12 or 14 degrees upwards, which is pretty crappy. It almost aims down better than it aims up, essentially. That's why I strongly recommend it, if possible. Get above your enemies when you can and be shooting down on them to really make effective use of your gun depression and your turret armor and protect yourself as best as you can, because this tank can do some serious damage in the early stages of a game, and if you're still alive in the later stages of the game, you can just put it to work by using that awesome medium tank mobility and coming in for the dashing flank kill on the remaining tanks in the game that are probably severely wounded. So, good gun battle going on here with the Centurion 1. He's really putting me through my paces, putting some shots through my gun mantlet. I know his alpha isn't that great, but his DPM is really good, so my damaged gun is making me miss my shots a little bit here. And I'll take another shot at him, get him right beneath the gun mantlet, so he's down to just about a one shot here. And I saw that mouse detected earlier. Artillery takes out the Centurion, finally. Naturally, artillery is shooting at a bottom tier medium tank that's almost dead. Typical artillery. Object 268 on my left gets taken out by the other artillery on our team, so that leaves a mouse somewhere in front of me, currently not spotted, and the E75. So I know I need my gun back in action. I'm already about two-thirds down to about two-thirds of my HP pool here, so I needed my gun back in action. I wasn't expecting much else of my modules to get damaged. Mouse gets an easy side shot into me. Not quite sure where he pinned me. It doesn't matter. I just backed off to let Lele take some shots at the C-75 here. And pulling forward, I'm looking at the mouse, and he's looking right at me, so I know I can try and get some shots into his turret cheeks. First one went high and bounced him, unfortunately. I will get a lot of damage on this mouse, though, just shooting at his turret cheeks, because he's just not really being smart about it, not turning his turret away from us, and his cheeks are just so exposed and quite easy to pen for a tier 10 medium tank. So bounced again on him, just backing up, trying to avoid artillery, which did just shoot at Fearless here in his E5. I know it's a GWE 100, so if it hits close or if it hits me dead on, I'm easily dead. Same thing with Fearless here. So mouse is getting a little bit messed up now. One more shot into his turret there, just beneath the gun mantlet. Easy pen, he's a one shot. And the friendly heavy AMX Lele and his AMX on the left side. They're trying to get a push going so that we can take out either this E3 or this mouse, and then they'll lose their chokehold over this flag here. E3 YOLOs our Pershing though, and that just exposes his side to Lele in the AMX 50B here. Lele gets a nice side shot on him. The E3 starts thinking twice about what he's doing. So I'm just sitting here waiting right now. Nobody's got me spotted, so just waiting for my opportunity to poke up and take a nice side shot in this E3 without him knowing what's going on. So E3 continues to YOLO the Pershing. He gets tracked. I try to get a side damaging hit on him, and apparently I only just tracked him. Bit of a late shot there, and then artillery finishes them off for the last 50 hit points naturally. So that leaves one more TD on their team. I'm just going to go down this cliff here. Artillery's dead. I don't have to worry about him shooting at me. So I just slide down this cliff here to pick up a lot of speed. I think I took a little bit of damage as well. So Death Star left over. T-28 Proto takes him out from the back. So decent game there. Pretty good fight. The red team had a nice chokehold on him at the top of the hill there at the flag. A mouse, an E75, and an E3 all holding that off. But our artillery was pretty on point there. 1,006 assisted damage, 3,703 damage dealt. And that's more than enough to nab a mastery badge, and I was also able to score a sniper medal there. So not a bad game at all. Not a bad game at all. Good fight at the top of the hill there. So moving along to Wide Park. I'm still in a platoon here. And this game I will actually get destroyed for once. But a map like Wide Park is another interesting map where you can put the STB-1 through its paces. You'll see me take some really cheeky shots here. So we see on the other team that there's also 2 enemy STB-1s, and they're platooned with an Object 268 as well as an E4. There's at least 1 Waffle, Hardcore 20 MK, and a Waffle Dragon there. But it's mostly a Tier 10, Tier 9 game. Not bad. So I poke over for some early quick spots here. Just ended up spotting about half their team here. A lot of them get lit up. Tortoise, E75, Object 268, one of the STB-1s. Good spots here. So I see Wickedly Nasty here in his STB-1. Took the middle. I get one last spot before I pull back down out of vision range though. So I'm just trying to maneuver here and continue some spotting where possible. Keep people lit up in the middle where possible so that if they try to peek over and get a nice cheeky shot, they get punished for it. Wickedly got a shot into one of our tanks there, but he also got shot right back for it, and that's what you want to ensure on this. So I see that nobody's really looking at me, so I peek over, try to get an ass shot on Wickedly there. Unfortunately, I missed horribly. That was just embarrassing, is what that was. I am still 4-bar in this game, unfortunately. So I peek over, I notice he's looking at me, so I don't chance it this time. And I'm still being proxy spotted by that E75, so I don't bother. Looks like the enemy Waffle 4 gets taken out on the far left there. Nobody's really covering the bridge to my right, unfortunately, so I'm just kind of keeping tabs on it. Peek over, get a nice ass shot on Wickedly Nasty, tracking him and taking out his engine deck. So a good shot into his backside there. Right into his rear wheel sprocket. So just looking around, seeing what's going on. There's a Tortoise, I believe it was, coming up on my right side there. E75 is still proxy spotting me intermittently, so I'm just repositioning so I can get some more cheeky shots into Wickedly Nasty here, possibly, or even the E75. Wickedly pokes over, spots me as well. He took a shot, got punished for it again. So I'm just peeking over here, seeing what I can do. I don't want to take any unnecessary hits this early in the game. We are down a tank, so I don't want to be stupid just yet. Don't want to be too aggressive. So peeking over, not looking at me, and another shot into the side of Wickedly Nasty. Easy pen. Just racking up a bit of damage here with some cheeky shots. Left side looks like it's in a bit of trouble, though. Several TDs pushing up on my platoon mate in the medium there. Get a shot on that IS. I was going to shoot that IS-8 there, but the shell went way off trajectory and ended up hitting Wickedly Nasty there, so I hit his platoon mate in the other STB-1 as well. Tweak and destroy. Got him in the side of the turret there, so I see their third platoon mate in the Object 268's coming up right in front of me as well, so I just make a mental note of it. Try to get a shot in this 268 here. Unfortunately, he turns towards it at the last second and it bounces. And wickedly nasty gets a good shot here in the front of my hull. Easy shot. Nobody's really watching my back. So this is when I realized, yeah, they're just going to YOLO me as a whole platoon. Gorilla Grower misses his shot and rams me, and both STB-1s rush over. So this was the part where I was like, yeah, guys, they're YOLOing me. I need some help. Friendly Waffle Dragon helps me take these guys out, so I was just barely able to survive that, thanks to Lele and the AMX, as well as the friendly Waffle Dragon on the far right by the bridge there. So platoon of 3 people taken out just to YOLO me. Not really a good trade-off for them or their team. So I know I've got a lot more freedom of movement in the middle here, as those STB-1s were just working my team in the middle here. So I can just keep backing up and pull forward and get some more side shots on this IS-8. So I peek over, get a shot. It goes low into his track, unfortunately. So just backing up, trying to reposition. This TD on the right side's calling for help. And I'm just letting them know I am in position. I can help if needed. So I just refocus on the right side here. I'm going to peek over, see if I can get some shots on this tortoise here. But he's pretty much looking right at me, waiting for me to come over, and me being one shot with 196 hit points, I know I can't play stupid yet. My team and my platoon still needs me in the game at this point. We're only up 7-6 right now, so I want to keep my gun in the game as long as possible. Just sitting tight, no real spots going on here. Guy behind me tells me to fall back. That's just giving them that position. I don't want them to take this position, because then they'll just have side shots in the rest of our team. Tortoise pulls up too far. T95 from the back takes him out. Good shot there. And Lele and the rest of my platoon are just doing work on the other side of the map there. We've still got an E75, an E100, and a T95 on this side here. So pretty much the rest of their heavy armor is on this side right in front of me. So I just peek over, get a nice side shot of that IS-8. He's tracked. And I told my platoon mates, hey, he's tracked. He should be able to get some easy shots. I see the E75's pulled forward quite a lot, so I got out of the way of the heavy tank behind me so that I'm not blocking his shots, and I got a nice side turret shot into him as well. So pretty much the rest of their team, save for the IS-8 and artillery, is on this side by the bridge here. So I let my platoon know, hey, this is where they're coming from. So knock out that IS-8 quickly, and then go take out artillery, because we need your help ASAP. Most of us over here were pretty damaged. IS-7 came over to help, thankfully, so I'm just staying behind the building and biding my time, waiting for the right moment to strike. Because it's going to be pretty tough for me to get some reliable, damaging hits on these guys over here, knowing that. E100 continues pulling forward. So I come out to try and help our Waffle. E100 is going all the way behind, and our Waffle pings the sector, basically requesting assistance. I don't want to pull out in front of that E100. In my heart, I really wanted to help out with that A100, but my brain was telling me, no, you'll just end up dying, and that could go very badly for the rest of the team there. It ends up being okay, though. The Waffle takes out the E100 quite easily, just dispatches him without even really clipping out. E5 pulls forward. I thought he was going to continue going. Unfortunately, I shot right into the pillar there. A bit of a delay on that one. As soon as he got detected, he stopped. So I know the T95 is behind me, so I pulled out to get a shot at this E5, but I was pulling the trigger and the shot just wasn't coming out once my reticule crossed over his tracks, unfortunately. So my platoon's kind of poking fun at me because I was not happy about that. And coincidentally, my controller died right then and there. So as you can see, the early parts of the game, really able to put the STB-1 at work. Once the opponents actually cross over the central ridge or through the bridge there, a lot harder to put this tank through its paces. If there wasn't a heavy tank hanging back on their side still, ideally I could have gone to their side of that ridge and started putting shots in their backsides, and that would have been the ideal situation there. Or I could have just pulled over to the opposite side of the map, helped out with that IS-8, and taken out artillery. But I was still able to put out some damage here, 3,473 damage with one tank destroyed. And I'm not sure what the deal was with the platoon that YOLO'd me there. I'm not sure what their thinking was with that, but they really suffered for that, and their team really suffered because of that as well. A whole platoon gone without taking out a single tank. Really unfortunate, and pain in the ass when that happens. To to be quite fair, I was pretty much alone, but Lele and the friendly Waffle were more than close enough to assist me with that rush there. So moving on to El Haluf here, Encounter. Now this is a map that has changed significantly, and it is so much better for the heavies and especially the mediums now. The top left corner, the northwest corner where a lot of the action was, it's not just one little ridge. The entire area was raised in elevation with little flanking routes and cover points and nice places to set up choke points and crossfires. So El Haluf is actually very enjoyable now. You still get the people that cling to their old ways and just camp the top of the ridge looking down in the middle. Once a camper, always a camper. You're not going to get rid of those, unfortunately, so it's always going to happen. So I was just following Elite Master here. He was being a dink to a teammate here, so I pushed him out of the way and just said, "Come on, man. Look, I don't really care how you feel about somebody. Let's just play the game and worry about that later." So Elite Master in the bat chat, Fearless in his E75, Lele in his AMX 50B, and who else was in the platoon? Happy Joey in his T62A. So a good, decent mobile damage dealing platoon here, especially our three medium tanks. Really good damage dealing mediums that we have in the platoon here. So just maneuvering on the south end of the action corner here, trying to put a tracking shot in the IS-7, magically penned him. I guess the shot went just underneath his spaced armor, so I wasn't complaining. So IS-7 out in the open, we're just getting shots into him. That one went high into his upper plate. Not a good shot at all. So I'm just using this small crest for protection and peeking over to get sneaky shots on this IS-7. That's what makes the STB-1 so awesome. With its combination of a very low profile and good gun depression, you can use really small ridges like this one to your advantage. Just make really good use out of it to protect yourself while still dealing damage. 54E1 gets a nice shot on the side of the turret from me, and our other friendly bat chat finishes him off, thankfully. So at this point I see the other T-54E1 got around behind us. It looks like he's going for the side of one of our TDs. He's almost right on top of artillery, so I immediately turned back and let my platoon mates know, hey, we got to get this medium. So I came out, got a side shot on him. Friendly Scout and T-62A pull up behind me to also take him out of the game here because he's in a pretty dangerous position. We just converged and took him out before he became a serious threat for us and the rest of the team, and especially our artillery. So we know there's somebody capping, but it's Encounter. We've got over 3 minutes to deal with the guys in the northwest corner here. So continuing my push forward, just moving up to the next ridge, seeing if I can get any decent shots. Doesn't look like anything's going on. That scout tank's just getting manhandled, so nothing I can do there. And I noticed there's a scout tank back at our spawn as well. It looks like it crept up through the southern edge of the map there, through all those passages in the hills. So using this crest as best as I can. Not getting any shots here, so I know I'm being useless. It's time to reposition. So I see this IS-8's alone, cut off from the rest of his team for support, so I figure I'll come around on his backside and get butt shots if he's still alive, but he gets taken out with 5 people shooting at him from multiple directions, so not much I could do there. E5 all alone, waiting for my platoon mate to pull out, get a side shot into his turret there, 361 damage, not bad at all. So he's pretty much butt fucked now with 5 people surrounding him. So just moving the wolf pack right along here. 2 TDs in front of us. One of them is a T-95, if I remember correctly. One of them gets blasted. Didn't even know what the other TD was, but this T-95 takes a minute to bring down, obviously. So we just ended up surrounding him and putting lots and lots of bullets into him. So when I realized that, I just ignored him. Tried to see if I could get a shot on artillery. There wasn't one. Noticed the Leopard Proto. Focused my attention on him. We've got just under 2 minutes on the cap timer, so we've still got a bit of time here. So I'm just trying to position myself behind this ridge here in case Artie is aiming in at me. See the Leopard Proto's still alone. Trying to aim in a shot, but it goes just wide to the right and eats the cliff there. So I notice in the distance there's a Death Star, so I make a mental note, knowing that I'll have to be careful of him once we roll over this Leopard prototype and deal with artillery. So coming around on the left side here, he's going around the right. takes a shot, and just coming around I decided, okay, ignoring the Leopard, don't need to worry about him, need to take out artillery here. And I got really lazy, took a bad hit from this M40-43. Still got the Leopard prototype right behind me, so seeing that I just switched ammo types. I was going to shoot him, but platoon mate in the 62A takes him out for me. Other artillery is also dead. I think our friendly artillery counter-batteried him while he was spotted, so good stuff there. See, the Death Star is pretty much alone. Could be on a reload, maybe not. I'm just going to come out behind him, because as I am pretty much half dead, so I pulled out the long flank just to get one shot into his backside. Took him out. Fortunately, I kind of stole the kill, but sometimes that happens. And then artillery takes out the E3 on the flag. That was actually capping. So, didn't really do a heck of a lot that game, but it was just so quick. Didn't really matter. Still pulled in some decent XP there and got a sniper medal. So we can see in the post game I still did some damage. 3,003 damage with 3 tanks knocked out. Pretty decent game. Not bad at all there. Now, if you've noticed so far, this is probably the one post game where I actually went moderately positive in silver. With the large repair, large first aid, and onigiri on this tank, I don't really make a lot of silver, but I don't play it to make silver, so just keep that in mind. Onigiri will suck up some of your silver if you use it on this tank. So that being said, we're going to jump into the last game here on Sacred Valley. This game ended up dragging out a fair bit. It was down to me and a friendly T-110E4 for us to clutch it against 4 enemy tanks. So it ends up being a really good game here. Again, platooned with Lalayan and Elite Master and Happy Joey. Lalayan is T-57 Heavy, Elite Master Bat Chat, and Happy Joey in his T-62A. So starting off, been playing Sacred Valley a fair bit, and having gone to the mountain on the north, which can be an effective position for the STB-1, I've decided that's not where I'm going to go this game, because if I run into 2 or 3 heavily armored, TDs or heavy tanks, then I can run into a lot of problems and wind up being essentially useless this game, because they will just bottleneck that choke point there, and I have no real opportunities to flank around and get side shots on them. So I pull up to the palace here in the southeast corner of the map. I haven't really played this side of the map very much, so I just come up here, me and Elite Master pulling forward, seeing if we can get some early spots, wondering if the enemy teams come up this way. So I'm just looking around, trying to get the layout of the land up here, as I haven't explored this side of the map too much. Naturally, I run into an invincible pebble that was strategically positioned because Wargaming knew that sometime in the future Mobius Y was going to travel this way. Bumped into the staircase there because I was seeing if it could be destroyed. Now, essentially up in this palace area, most all of this, except for the rocks, most all of these props here are destructible, save for the large palace itself. So, bumped into Happy Joey there, flash of sorry. We're just trying to reposition to see what we can do here. Elite Master's already getting some spots off in the distance there for us. So I see it at FV-215B in the very back there. Had a good shot on his lower plate. He pulled back, shot on the Object 704. Looks like it went right into his gun mantlet, so didn't actually pen and damage him. Still an E5 directly below us. I'm not worried about him as he is outside of my line of sight. Can't see me because of this nice big ridge of wall right in front of us. So E75 spotted in the distance, trying to peek out, see if I can get a shot on him. And then that's when I decided this building's annoying me. Knocked it down. Pulled back just in case somebody got smart and blind fired that, but nothing happened there, thankfully. So just trying to reposition, see if I can get a shot on these enemies that are spotted on my far right there. That E75 encounter. So just aiming in. You can see the E75. Figured he'd pull forward. Missed my shot pretty badly. And then he saw somebody was shooting at him. He's also on fire, so fire a blind shot where he was. Didn't hear a ribbon. Decided, screw it, not worth firing another shot. So 215 gets spotted again. Just trying to position and get some shots here. Leopard Proto, get a shot into his backside. It ends up hitting the dirt right in front of him. And that's when I'm spotted, so I just backed right off. Didn't need to take a hit this early. Even though we're up 3-1, not necessary losing close to half my hit points this early in the game. So I see that Leopard Proto still spotted. Still seems somewhat exposed, just aiming in my gun. Took a blind shot, didn't hear a ribbon. Did hear a ribbon, sorry. My bad. So I did end up hearing that Leopard prototype, but I didn't want a chance taking a second shot at him, as I wasn't expecting him to stick around. So I see the 704 spotted again, wondering if I can get a shot. Nope. Aiming on the 215B. He's pretty hull down. I'm not expecting miracles, so I just held my fire at that point. I had no faith in this gun to actually hit the little commander's hatch at the top of the turret at all. A hull down 215B can be a force to be reckoned with. So I just took a shot anyways. Looks like I hit him in the turret cheek. Really, really surprised that one actually penned, but I'll take it. So this E-75, I'm not sure what he was thinking. With where the enemy E5 moved on our left side there, he was able to easily shoot up on us. So I got a nice shot in that E-75 spotted in the distance, hit him in the side of the turret, and I got a second shot here. I'm not sure where that one went, but I'm just waiting for the reload because it doesn't look like anybody else is shooting him, so I'm trying to go for another turret side shot and take him out of the game here. Another miss. It must have bounced off his upper plate or his mantle. It doesn't really matter. One more shot, another miss. And this is what I'm talking about with the accuracy. It can really let you down. But fifth shot, fifth time's a charm. Finally take him out of the game. And they're down one more tank. Now at this point the battle's going kind of sour for our team as we jumped from being up 4-1 and now we are down 8-7. So I'm playing really conservative here. Don't want to take an unnecessary hit from this E5, so just waiting for him to poke up far enough, maybe get a shot into that machine gun hatch at the top of the turret there. Seeing if we can get something going here. And this is when I look around. Got an E4 with me still, and I believe that is the T62A in my platoon on my left side still as well. The C75, though, will get reamed here. E5 has easy shots on him, and just shooting in the ass of the C75. I don't know what the C75 was doing, but he just took it, got shot, pulled back, figured, oh, he's gone now. I can move back into the position where I just got shot from. Takes another side shot for no reason. I don't know what he was thinking here. He will get killed for it, though. It was really dumb. So there was a reason why I was sitting back here. That E5 is proxy spotting me. There's still a 215B and an Object 704 in the very back there. So I'm trying to pull outside of this E5's proxy spot range. And he just keeps proxy spotting me and the E4 and takes out that E75 once and for all. So we are down 7-on-3 at this point. E5 figures he can just YOLO forward. We're going to make him suffer for that. That's my first hit suffered the game. E4 takes him out. Thank God. So I'm just praying that my tracks get fixed quickly enough here, using what's left of the building for cover to protect me from that 215 and that 704. So the E4 is over here on the left side, and my platoon mate in the T62A is alone back near our base with a T57 heavy bearing down on him. So at this point I basically said, I'm pulling back. I got to help out my platoon mate in the 62A. Happy Joey in the 62A. I got to go back and help him out. We got to stick together. But I can tell right away he won't live long enough. This T57 heavy is just clipping him out and spotting him for any other tanks that are still hanging out in the distance there. So I got a shot in the T57 heavy. Gets spotted by God knows what, but something with a really good view range. So I'm exposed here, so I had to pull out of there, get behind some cover. 215 gets an amazing shot off on me from that distance and tracks me in the rear sprocket. So I just pulled behind this building on my left to protect myself. There's also a T30 somewhere in the very back there on top of the big mountain, so I figured, well, I'm going to have to deal with that eventually. Had a nice side shot, and then in the 215B, I just waited until he turned his turret side to me as well, so that I didn't have just the side of his hull, which is really weak. So got a nice kill shot there. E4 also knocked somebody else out. So I know there's a T30 overwatching this T57 heavy. I just don't know where. So spotting out the T57 heavy, I knew where he was, so I just positioned myself into some buildings to try and lose being spotted. So this is when I used the cover to the best of my ability. Came out right in front of him without him really expecting it. Just snapped the reticule right onto him and took the shot. So this is when I figured I need to just dive in some buildings and block the shot that T30 probably had on me. I'm going under the assumption that he's got a clear line of sight on me because I just don't know where he is. So I'm trying to let my friendly in the E4, trying to let him know that I'm pulling back. I'm going to go pull back and deal with that T30. So my platoon mates at this stage were actually telling me that the Object 704 and the T-30 were both one-shot. Now, the E4 told me that he was going to pull back as well. I'm trying to tell him that he needs to hold position there, because that E100 is coming right for him, and he'll basically get ass shots onto him. And we don't want that at this point in the game. So we were down 7-on-3, and now it's a 3-on-2. And I just got spotted by probably that E100 behind me. No way to tell for sure, so I just dove behind some buildings. And finally I'm able to spot that T-30. He takes a shot at me, misses, so I just aimed in as best as I could. Fortunately, my shot only hits him in the track, so he's still alive. So I just aimed in again, took a blind shot, and got spotted for it right away. So as soon as that happened, I just panicked and dove right back into the buildings here to break his line of sight and block his potential shots on me. So I can see the E4 and the E100 are just dueling it out right now, one-on-one. So it's my job to pull back. I got to take out this T-30. He's one shot, and my platoon's telling me the Object 704 is also one shot. So I jumped into game chat here to communicate with the E4, and I just said, hey, I got to pull back and deal with these TDs. Are you going to be able to handle that E100 by yourself? And he actually said, yeah, that's no problem. I got this guy. So just communicating with the team here, really, really essential. If that E4 pulled back with me, that E100 could have been in a much stronger position than he is. So I finally see the T-30. I hesitated a little bit too long, took a bad hit there from his massive gun. He knocks me down to a one-shot for both the Object 704 and the E100. So I was just letting the friendly E4 there know, hey, I'm a one-shot. I took a bad hit from that T-30, but he's gone, so I'm going to hunt out this Object 704 and take him out because I know he's a one-shot. The other dead teammate that was talking to us was telling me that he's a one-shot. That's when my controller dies. How convenient. So, trying to plug it back in, I was so certain that the Object 704 was just going to roll up on me right then and there. E4 does more than a dang good job, handles that E100 all by himself. Good job on his part. So, as soon as the siren goes off, we know where the 704 is. That was not a bright thing to do on his part. He basically just gave away his position. So, me knowing I'm one shot, but he's also one shot, I can just go for it, come at him from behind, put a shot into his rear, and close the game out for us. So we were down to a 7-on-3 here, and with my platoon mate in the 62A taking out one tank, and me and the E4 coordinating well enough here, taking out the rest of the tanks to finish off this game, we literally pulled this from the jaws of defeat. It was a pretty interesting game here. So I'm using the mountain to conceal my movements as best as I can until the very last second as best as possible here. Pulling forward into the flag, I'll spot the 704 from his rear sprocket wheel, but I know he can't see me yet, not until now, and it's just too late for him. It doesn't even matter. Just pulled up, auto-locked, and put a shot into his back to close out that game. Really, really clutch game that we had there. It definitely could have gone better. That bad hit from the T-30 was due to my hesitation on pulling the trigger there. I wanted my aim to be 100% true. So 3,056 damage, 5 tanks knocked out, mastery badge, friendly E4, 7,500 damage. Monster game by the friendly in the E4. That was great stuff. Hope you guys like this tank talk. That's the STB-1 for you. Mobius Wise signing off. You guys have a good night.